Hi and welcome to the channel. I am the Engineer Unknown, and in this video I will be looking at the performance of Red Dead Redemption running on the RPCS 3 emulator. I have been following the evolution of this PlayStation 3 emulator for a couple of years now, and the developers have been doing an excellent job in making more and more games playable. Since the emulator is still in the alpha stage of development, the performance can vary between different versions. Here I'm using version 0.0.12-10997, which was released near the beginning of October. I have found this version to be very stable with Red Dead Redemption, while providing a very reasonable performance. To give you an indication of the variability between versions, the game running on the emulator a few versions before this one was experiencing random crashes, while with the version after this, the performance was about 25% worse. In case you want to try different versions, you can find them in the builds history website of the emulator, which I will link in the description below. After downloading and extracting the archive for your operating system, you can replace the executable in the emulator's installation folder. Your settings should remain unchanged. The emulator has a general configurations menu, but the advice is to leave all the settings there at the defaults. Instead, you can change the settings of each game individually by right-clicking on the game and selecting Change Custom Configuration. For Red Dead Redemption, we will need to adjust the CPU, GPU and advanced settings to get the optimum performance. Some suggestions about settings can be found on the RPCS3 wiki, which is also linked below. For the CPU settings, make sure that you select, for both PPU decoder and SPU decoder, the Recompiler LLVM setting. In the additional settings, select Enable Thread Scheduler if you are running an AMD Ryzen CPU, and also enable the SPU cache. Set the SPU block size to safe and the preferred SPU threads to auto. In the GPU tab, for the renderer, select Vulkan, set the frame limit to 60 and anisotropic filter to 16 times, while leaving anti-aliasing disabled. You can set the resolution to match that of your monitor, but personally I have found that a 200% scaling is a good compromise between performance and graphics quality. Keep the resolution scale threshold at 16 by 16, which is the default value. For shader mode, select Async Multithreaded, and in the additional settings, enable write color buffers. You can also enable the multi-threaded RSX setting if your processor has a relatively high number of cores. I have found that this setting can give a performance boost of about 5% in Red Dead Redemption. In the Advanced tab, make sure that the setting for firmware settings is the third from the top, and that for the GPU settings, Relaxed ZCal Sync is enabled. You can now save the custom configuration. To boot the game with these settings, right-click and select Boot with Custom Configuration. The PC that I am using consists of an AMD Ryzen 7 3800X processor running at stock frequency, 32GB of DDR4 RAM running at 3000 MHz, and a mildly overclocked NVIDIA GTX 1080. Let's go to the game now to see how it performs. Bear in mind that if you are booting the game for the first time, it can take a bit longer than this for the PPU module compilation to complete. The game's performance is actually the worst when in settlements, which can be a bit disheartening when you first jump into the game. For example, one of the first areas you will visit is the McFarland Ranch, which is also one of the areas you can expect the frame rate to dip to its lowest values. On average, in settlements you can expect around 22 to 24 FPS, but there can be occasional dips down to 15. However, when exploring the rest of the world, the frame rate improves significantly to the point that the game is running constantly at 30 FPS, which at the moment is the frame cap. The frame rate does dip occasionally by a few frames per second, especially in daytime when scenes become a bit busy or when you are approaching settlements, but in nighttime it is a much more consistent experience. Perhaps more important than performance is stability. I have completed approximately a third of the game, almost exclusively on this version of the emulator, and I have not experienced a single crash even after several hours of gaming. All aspects of gameplay and game mechanics seem to be working as intended. Previous bugs related to some of the main story quests appear to have been fixed. You can interact with vendors and other NPCs to buy and sell items or pick up quests, and you can pick up and complete bounties. You can kill and skin animals and pick up herbs. All menus and the various methods of fast travel also work well. Furthermore, all the mini games that I have tried work as expected, including horseshoe toss, dice, poker, and blackjack. I hope that you have found the video useful, and if you liked it, please subscribe to the channel for more updates from me. To finish, I will leave you with some more gameplay footage.
Slow up. Watch your step. Pleasure to see you, sir.
How do you do, mister?
Moving picture shows real good.
Really?
I'm gonna plant some okra around. I'm back. Howdy. Huh. One doing is control the right.
Howdy.